Hi, so we're going to be doing a really awesome problem that I gave as a homework assignment a long time ago. So normally when we talk about a regular expression, we have some string like A, something, 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 and we want some way to actually validate whether that string is in a particular regular language. So maybe I would say A or B. Well, actually, I should do union here. So U, B, star, and then A, B, A, U, B, star. And this would, of course, be all strings that happen to have ABA as a substring because anything can appear before and anything can appear after. So what I want to do here is to make a regex that corresponds to regexes, which means that we want to validate whether a given string is actually a regex, a valid regex. And we're actually going to make a little restriction here because we actually can't do it as described. We have to make a restriction which says that we don't have nested parentheses. Okay, if we did that, then it turns out that this is not regular because you can have, it's essentially saying that like A to the n, B to the n is not regular because you can have a left parenthesis with a right parenthesis and have as many of those as you want, and that corresponds to A to the n, B to the n, and that's not regular. So here we're going to allow one deep for parentheses, but well, we can't go any more than that. If you have a certain depth that you want to work with, then it works as long as it doesn't go further than that. But here we're only going to go one deep, and you can generalize it as you want to. So here what we're going to do is we're going to have a set of characters. So these are not the actual operations in the regex. These are the actual characters corresponding to regexes. So let's say 0 and 1. Yeah, so 0 and 1. So let's just say that those are characters like A and B over here. These are the actual characters. We can generalize this to any arbitrary alphabet I want, so I can add like a 2 here and etc. Okay, so we need something that represents the empty string in as a character though. So here I'm going to use lambda because we're used to using epsilon in my videos. We're going to use lambda here for the actual character which represents the empty string in a regex. We need the empty set, so I'm going to call that just empty set, nothing different there. We need something for star for the three operations for concatenation, union, and star. So I'm going to use what we use usually for the blank symbol for Turing machines, but so this is going to represent union. So maybe I should write all these. So this is union, this is the empty set, this is the empty string, and these two are characters. And we can generalize that as I said before. We need something for concatenation, so I'm going to use a little circle right here. That's usually used sometimes. The way that I do it is I just put the things next to each other, but we need the actual character to correspond to real concatenation of two things. So here this is concat, and we need one more for star. So normally I would just put the star upstairs like this, but I'm going to actually draw a real star right here to differentiate between this star as a character and the operation that corresponds to star in a regex. So this is just a character, but it corresponds to the operation if we're treating the string we're reading as a regex. Okay, so these are the only operations that we need. Because we can define any regex in terms of either the base cases, which are right here, or the three inductive cases. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to build it up one level at a time. So let's just start as easy as possible. How do we make a regex for the base cases? So regex for the base cases. Well, it's going to be one of these four things. Those are the only possibilities. So the regex is going to be parentheses. So the parentheses, I'm going to have white here represents the actual regex, and green mean the characters that are in this set, which correspond to operations or things in the actual real regex if we treated it as one. So here we're going to have 0, 1, lambda, which represents empty string, and empty set, and of course we need the end parentheses here. But we need union in between because we're making a regex for these. It can be one of these things. But the thing is, I can't write this union right here because this is the actual character that represents union. So what I'm going to do in orange is I'm going to have the actual operation of in real operation land, not the actual character. So this is going to be union, and I'm going to try to draw it tall and not like a little square with the top off like the character is. So we're going to have unions here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put plus. So this is what I'm doing in the class I'm teaching right now. We're using plus for union. You can use a number of operations. The orange represents the operation here, not the character. All right, so this is for the base cases. So what I want to do here is let's not go to the full generalization, but let's try to actually make a single string, or the regex that corresponds to single strings. So, So regex for single strings. So a single string is just going to be any one of these concatenated together. So you may think, okay, empty set doesn't count. Well, you can concatenate the empty set onto anything that you want to. So, I mean, it won't do anything. It will have the empty set as the language, but we just want to actually make the string or the regex of all strings that you can ever concatenate any single thing together, which involves concatenating any one of these things. So it kind of looks like we can just slap a star onto this, but we actually want to be able to have things of any length. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a parentheses, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this first one R1, because we're going to be referring to R1 right here. So R1, well, what we can do is if we see anything in R1, then we can do a concatenation operation on 2 after that. Because if I want to join 0 and 1 together, I got to put concatenation in between. So here we're going to have R1 right here, and then with the actual concatenation character here. So we're not actually really concatenating anything here. We're trying to form the string that represents the regex that has any single string, which involves concatenating. So we have to use the character that corresponds to it. And here we can do this as many times as we like. And what we would want to do is we would want to be able to do this again as much as we want to. So I'm going to have another parentheses right here, which corresponds to R1, and then the actual character that corresponds to star. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the operation star right here. And you may think, why would you want to do that? Well, in principle, what I could do in the real regex is I can say A star, 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 star. So I can have as many stars attached to it as I want to. It doesn't really change anything, but it's a valid regex that I'm allowed to have. So that's why I have this bit right here, which allows us to put as many star characters after it as I want to. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call this guy R2, and then now I'm going to refer to R2. So now let's work with each of the operations one at a time. So let's handle union first. So we're going to have a regex for the union of single strings. Okay. So what do we want to do here? Well, we have R2 represents all the possible single strings that we can have. We can insert the union character in between each of the strings. So what we're going to have here is something similar to this guy right here. So again, we're going to have this, but instead of R1, we're going to have R2, because remember, those are single strings. Oops. Along with union in between each one of them. And star, so the actual operation star here. But I can't end on a union here. I want to be able to have at least a single string here. So I'm going to have R2, which finishes it off. So I've let something, union, something, and then it ends with something, not union. So we're going to end it with like that. Pretty nice. So now let's work with brackets. I'm going to use brackets here. Actually, what I should do to this set right here is I'm going to add 2 characters, which are the characters which correspond to parentheses in an actual regular expression. So I'm going to have those in as well. So remember, those are the characters. The parentheses are the things for the regex we're building. The square brackets are for representing the regex as a string, but the parentheses are for the regex we're actually building to close it off to other pieces of the regex we're building. I know it sounds horribly confusing. If it's confusing, put it into the comments down below and I can help you. So let's make a regex with at most 1 pair of matching brackets. Okay, so what are we going to do here? So what we want to do is we want to be able to bracket off one of these guys right here that we just did. So I have, let's call this guy R3. Then what are we going to do? Well, we should be able to bracket that guy off. So we have, so here is the character bracket with anything from R3. And, oh, oops, wrong color. So we're going to bracket that guy off. But remember, on anything that we parenthesize in a regular expression, we can put the star on it. So we got to put the star character here as many times as we want. Remember, we can put the star as many times as we like. So this is going to get horribly confusing. So we're going to have the star character here. Close it off. And then, and we can have that star as many times as we like. And then with the, and then we got to union that with, if we don't have any brackets around it, which is possible, we can just have anything from R3 and then as many stars as we want. So that is just, we have R3, and then with that, we can have as many star characters as we like. So it's effectively this right here, but without these brackets right here. So it's saying that you are allowed to bracket something off or not. And then here, we can again have as many stars as we like. And then parenthesize that. I'm parenthesizing all on the beginning and the end because we are starring things sometimes. And here we're actually concatenating things onto a different thing, so there's no possible issue here. Okay, now let's put it all together. So here's the final regex. So what are we going to do here? And I'm going to call this guy R4. So what do we want to do? Well, this says that we can have at most 1 pair. Now we want to be able to make as many pairs as we want. So here's how it's going to go. So we're going to have R4 right here, along with the character for union. So we can have something that has at most 1 pair, union something else, as many times as we'd like. And then, yeah, so this says as many times as you want, along with something at the very end. So R4 again. And then we can either do that, or we can do a bunch of concatenations if we want to. And it turns out, and I want you to actually think about it, that these are the only two possible cases we need to worry about. So we can have R4 concatenated, the whole thing concatenated, and then star here, and then finally finish it off with another copy of R4 because we don't want to end on the concatenation character. We want to be able to have something at the very end. So that is a lot, but it is a regex for regexes. Yo dog, I got a regex for your regex. So hopefully that was interesting and not too complicated. Feel free to have any questions down in the comments down below. As always, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. There are many other links in the video description if you want to support the channel further. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.